Hi guys, the first recording didn't record so well, so I'm going to try it using this, okay? Hopefully this works. Here we go. Play. Why isn't it playing? Here we go. Come on! There we go. Oh my gosh, technology, am I right?
Hi guys, Mrs. Basico here, and today we're going to do another lab. Woo! Unfortunately, this lab is kind of going to be a bummer, but we'll try to simulate it the best we can. This is called the Bubblegum Lab. So when you go into Google Classroom, you're going to click on Bubblegum Lab. And what I highly recommend that you do is try to find some gum in your house if you can. Maybe something to chew on while you do this, because it's kind of fun if you can pretend and blow some bubbles while you're doing it. If we were in the classroom, we would chew on gum. And everybody would have a different type and we'd share answers, but that's just going to be too hard to do at home. So I made for you that little side document that has this on it, and it looks like this. Gum lab results for 5 students. We're going to take 5 fake students, give them 5 kinds of gum. So Ezekiel's going to get spearmint gum. Enrique is going to get peppermint gum. Apparently I'm on an E-kick. Let's see. Charlene is going to get extra bubble gum. Abdul is going to get extra watermelon. Okay, so we're going to have those 5 kids, and we're going to pretend that they actually have gum. And what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that we weighed it, before they started chewing it, and then after. So hence why it's like a nice square like gum normally is. And then after, when it's all mushy. I couldn't get like a crumpled up picture with your teeth on it, though. That'd be really cool. I couldn't find one like that. But that's after. And if you notice, the scale reads 9.8 and 9. So 9.8 grams and 9 grams. Okay? So, but let's go back to the beginning. Before we start doing this lab, we have a couple of things that we have to prep. Okay? And if you notice, all the parts of scientific method are now on display. So let's take a look at our lab. We start with the purpose. Then we make a hypothesis or a guess. Then we've now snuck in this descriptive list. Remember the past couple of days we've been talking about independent, dependent, and constant. Then comes our procedure and our materials and what we're going to do for each step, right? Then we have our evidence or our data where we're going to fill out a chart. Then we're going to actually try online making a graph of our results, and then we're going to rock a conclusion. So this lab is a little bit bigger than the ones that we've done, but you guys are going to rock it, and we're going to split it into steps. So we're going to do the beginning part today, we're going to do the middle part tomorrow, and then Tuesday when we come back from our long weekend, we're going to finish up with the conclusion. Uh-oh, the lights in the classroom just went out. Let me turn them back on again. Let's see if clapping doesn't work. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's go to the start part. Here's the most important part. Okay, so what you want to do always with the lab is that we always want to read the directions first. And we kind of just went through them, but let's look at what we're going to actually have to do. And remember, you don't actually have to do this. If you have a scale, like especially one that measures small things at home, you could try this at home. But we're going to pretend by using those fake students and their fake data, okay? So let's look at the purpose together. The purpose is to determine what happens to the mass of the gum. That means how heavy it is after it is chewed for 10 minutes. So it sounds like what we're going to do is the fake people, or you could try this at home, are going to pop a piece of gum in our mouth, chew on it, it's like a cow, chew on it for 10 minutes, spit it out, weigh it again, and find out whether it went up in weight or went down, or what we call mass in science. So the very first thing that everybody has to do is make their hypothesis. And anytime I want you to answer something, it's going to be highlighted here. So this part, and this part all have to get written in, okay? And I gave you the format. So what you need to do now is I want you to guess what you think would actually happen. What do you think is going to happen to the kids? And don't look, but what do you think is going to happen to the kids when they chew their gum for 10 minutes? So you either have to guess, do you think the mass is going to go up? Or do you think it's going to go down? Or stay the same? And remember, the mass means the weight. So after you're chomping on it for 10 minutes, you think the weight's going to go up, down, or stay the same. So you have to write it like this. You're going to say something like, if I chew gum for 10 minutes, okay? That's kind of really specific, which we want it to be. Then the mass will can either write up or down there. Okay, so maybe I think it's going to go down. And then I want you to tell me a reason why. Why do you think it's going to go down? And you type a reason why. Okay, so all three parts of your hypothesis. It's okay if you think the mass is going to go up. I just want you to explain it. There's no right or wrong answer. Okay, so maybe stop the video right now so you can type that into your own lab. And I'm going to get rid of that so that mine doesn't stay. Okay, all right. The next part we're going to do is the descriptive list. I want you to think about what's the independent, what's the dependent, and what's the constant. So the independent variable, what is getting changed? And now you might say to yourself, I don't know. So what we have to do next is we have to look at what we're actually going to do in the lab, okay? So let's go down and let's take a look at our materials. So let's pretend and think about if we were actually doing this lab. Our materials we would need are bubble gum. And it looks like I'm going to need several different kinds. So I'm going to test different kinds of bubble gum. That's kind of fun. Then I also need a scale to weigh the gum. We don't have one that everybody can use, but we're going to use a virtual one, okay? And then I need a timer if I were doing this lab because I'd want to keep track of it and for 10 minutes, right? Those are my materials. So let's look at what I actually have to do, the procedure. First, I'm going to pick a type of gum to test. Okay, if you remember in our examples here, there were kids that tested all kinds, right? Hubba Bubba, peppermint, spearmint, extra bubble gum, watermelon, all different kinds, right? So if you were doing this in class, you would pick one of those kinds. Then number 2, you place the gum on the scale and find the mass. So you take it before even chewing it, and you place it on a scale so we could weigh it, okay? Then you would enter the total mass of the gum on the chart. So if I look down here, it looks like I'm going to name the name of the brand of whatever I'm chewing. Then right here, I'm going to write down the mass, how many grams it was. Okay. Then it says I'm going to put the gum back on the scale, and I'm going to find the mass again after 10 minutes, after I've chewed it. Okay. And then I'm going to record the new mass on the chart. And then it says I'm going to figure out how the mass changed and write it on the chart. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to be looking at those results and eventually completing the chart, the graph, and the questions at the end. But before I do that, now I know what the lab's going to look like. So we know that fake students are going to chew different kinds of gum for 10 minutes. They're going to weigh the gum before and after. So we have to go back and do what we think is our independent, dependent, and constant. So if you remember, independent variable means what is different or what has been changed. What are the different things that we are testing in this lab? Pause right now to write that down. What are the different things? Here's a clue. Different. Okay, let's go to dependent variable. Dependent variable is what data you're trying to determine. What are you trying to determine or collect in the end? What are you trying to see? So if you think about it, what are we really trying to figure out at the end of this lab? We're trying to figure out how what changes. So look at your chart. What happened at the start, what happened after, and then we're really trying to find that difference. So write that down under your dependent variable. What we're really trying to find out. Pause the video if you need time, because you should be writing something in here. Oh, there we go. You should be writing something in there. Hopefully it doesn't look like mine. And then you need a constant. What kind of things would stay the same for all these kids? So whether I was chewing bubble gum or Hubba Bubba or extra spearmint, what would have to stay the same for all of them to make the results really accurate? Let me see. This might be a clue. Okay, so now you should have filled out your constant, and you only need one. That's okay. If you want to come up with more than one, though, rock star, go ahead. But right now, you should have all these things filled out. You should have done the hypothesis and the descriptive list, okay? That should all be done, and I'm going to get rid of it so it doesn't get in the way here. But yours, because they're highlighted, should be done, okay? The very last thing that I'm going to do today is I'm going to click on my results. So you can either go into Google Classroom and click on this gum part, like that, okay? Or if you click right here where it says see the fake results, you can actually click on that same link from right there, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to record and figure out what the results were for all the kids, okay? So I'm going to have to look at each person and write down the type of brand, their mass at the start, mass when they're done, and what's the difference. Okay, so let's look at an example. Okay, all right, let's look. So the first one is named Ezekiel. He had spearmint gum. So that's what I'm going to write underneath here. Spearmint gum. So maybe pause the video so you can do that. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what his mass was at the start. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the gum and say before he started chewing it was 13, which means 13 grams. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to write 13 grams. Make sure you put that grams in there. Okay, then I have to record what it was after. So I'm going to go back to that tab and I'm going to look at, ew, gross. After he was chewing, it was 11.2. So I'm going to go back and write 11.2 grams. Now here comes probably the trickiest part. You can use your calculator on your computer. You can use your calculator if you have one in math, or you can do old-fashioned and do it in your head, or try to do it on paper. But basically, I have to find how much. It looks like it started at 13 and went down 11.2. So it went down, okay? So I basically have to subtract, right? I have to go 13 minus 11.2. And doing that in my head, I figured out that it would be 1.8 grams would be the difference. Okay, let's do one more together. And if you feel like you've got that and you're totally good, then you can stop, just finish that chart. All you need to do today is listen to the video, which you already did, amazing. Do the hypothesis, do the descriptive list, and fill out the rest of this chart, okay? Good luck, and please don't hesitate if you need any questions. All right, those that want to stay, we'll do one more example. Okay, so here's number 2. The next person's named Taylor, and she had Hubba Bubba. So let's go in and type Hubba Bubba. If you need to stop the video right now, do that so you can type that in. Okay, the next thing we need to find is what her mass was at the start. So let's go in. Looks like Hubba Bubba started at 13.7. Dang, that's heavy. Okay, 13.7 grams. That's a nice piece of gum. Yeah. All right, now I have to find out what it was after. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, oh, 9.6. Dang. 9.6. When I look at this, so 9.6 grams, when I look at this, I also notice this one went down. So I got to find 13.7 minus 9.6. If you don't know how to do this already, here's a cool trick. If you go into Google and you type in calculator, you can actually type that in, and if you don't have a calculator around. So let's look at that number again. It's 13.7 minus 9.6. So I'm going to do 13.7 minus 9.6 equals 4.1, and that's my new answer. So I'm going to go to 4.1 grams, okay? So I need to go back and finish the rest of the 3 kinds of gum. Then I'm done for today. The rest of the lab we're going to do another day, okay? All right, guys, good luck. Have fun.